I should watch watch stream.
Just in the Discord.
Yeah, the live stream if you can, because I'll be going over a couple of different things, and you guys can see my mouse,
yeah,
right?
I can see it. Yes, I can see you are in the main menu.
Yeah. Okay.
Hi, David.
Okay.
Let me see. Make sure this is on.
Hello.
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 Hey.
What's up?
Let's do this screen. Okay, so if I close this, does it show that? Okay, good. Because I want to be able to pull some videos here, because we're going to be kind of going over some more advanced stuff now that you guys, you know, I don't want to be going over, or at least not today. I'm not going to be going over like basic power management, you know, your OBJ as far as, you know, what kind of damage you're doing, or mostly like your general SOP. Okay, you guys have been playing this game long enough and you've been rising through the ranks very quickly, which is nice to see. So I figure you guys understand what you're doing at a very general meaning. So I'm going to not cover that general stuff. We're going to kind of get into a little bit more specifics here as far as what the flex role looks like at top levels of play. It's going to be a little bit different. You don't get a lot of things for free as far as, you know, going after players, or, you know, being able to easily disrupt the enemy team. Because as you get to, because the goal, I think right now for you guys, or at least what it seems like, is to get to Group A, or to make it to playoffs, you know, this next coming season, which would be really exciting. And if you want to do that, you're going to have to kind of not exactly rethink how you kind of see the game, but you have to just consider a little bit more, because now you don't want to be going on autopilot and just be doing kind of silence like you just mentioned. It's like, oh yeah, I like looking at these double shot orbits, like I didn't even, you know, think about that, or I didn't even think about like, oh, I'm not really taking pressure, so maybe I don't have to be doing my standard single shot orbits that, you know, you're getting a lot of bounces, you're moving a lot, but you're kind of losing out a little bit on, or actually quite a bit on your DPS. So these are things that we're going to be going over that is a lot more nuanced. This might be a lot more theory as far as what you're going to be doing, as far as what you want to look at for flex. So we're going to be going over some film. We're going to be going over some, you know, ideas that you want to consider, as well as things that other positions can do in order to help out the flex, or for you guys to be more of a cohesive unit, as far as, you know, you in getting involved in the PK with the flex, or in transitions like the bombers being able to shoot a little bit of, you know, whatever target the flex is on. So that's something you're going to have to open up a little bit too, if you want to continue moving up towards those top levels of play. And starting with the open here, we'll kind of just go a little bit phase by phase, but starting with the open here, the biggest thing is that your flexes, at least as of right now, your flexes want to be going after bombers. I trust that you guys can handle going after a bomber by yourself. If you double up, that's okay, but just know that securing that kill might be a little bit harder when you double up at top levels of play, because you're coming across pilots now that are more than capable of evading, you know, a 2 flex combo if they're pocketed by their support. So in top levels of play, the flex, of course, it wants to be getting kills, but you also need to understand you're also doing a lot of disruption, just slowing somebody down, because you're not always going to get that kill, and that's okay. And which is why, at least in right now, and I'll get into that in a sec, why it's important to split bombers right now on every single open is because people have gotten so good at getting their packs. People have gotten so good at, you know, dumbfiring if they do those. They have gotten, everybody is very practiced. So you have to slow down their machine, so to speak, as much as you can, so that you can give yourself the edge. So let's go. I've got a little film for you here. Let me see. Let me know if you guys can see this.
Yeah, I can see.
Yes, I can see.
Do that.
Okay. So this is just yesterday, last night. Can you hear any of the comms?
Taking the right pack.
Bit quiet.
I just
Yeah.
saw something so.
Okay, I'm not going to worry about it right now.
My game just showed us having 2 loans.
So going on open, stuff that you want to keep in mind. This is against what is it, Idiots Array in TBD. This is our first match of the playoffs that just happened yesterday. And as you get to these top level teams, as you start to see these names more and more regularly of that players, it's just like, oh yeah, we're used to seeing what's a Group B team, like Helpworks. I think they're at the top of Group B right now, so they're gonna be the team for you guys to like gun for. Is like that's the team to beat for you next season is Helpworks, and maybe Hiveguard, because they kind of fluctuate between Group A and Group B. And so as you kind of play these people, obviously if you can set up scrims with them, the better. The more that your flex can learn how the enemy flies is more important. And this is something that is pretty advanced. You got to be able to do, like, you have to be playing this game for a while to understand how people kind of have tendencies towards how they fly. Because power management exists, everybody has a sequencing in which they're going from like shields, boost drifts, weapons, engines. Shields, boost drifts, weapons, that kind of pattern, you know, that is just basic power management. So you can kind of follow their bounces. You can anticipate where they're going. And I know you guys, I see that you posted a while back, I believe it was Dalek or whatever he calls himself these days, his kind of PK tutorial about what he was going through. And I think one of the points he mentioned in there was to follow the enemy's nose. Where they're pointing is where they're going to be headed, whether off the bounce of a dunk or whether their next boost drift is going to be. You want to make sure you're following their nose. And I'll kind of point out examples of that as it comes along. And if anybody has any questions anywhere, just butt in, just ask. Like we can go over stuff if you're not quite sure. So don't be afraid to say anything. So my team knows that, and if the audio is too loud, I can turn it down because I want to make sure you. Okay, but right now my team is talking about how we know that Idiots Array on Esleys, and sometimes it's map dependent too. It's like we've been playing these our opponents for so long that we know their tendencies at like what zones they will pick on different maps, on different phases, and that will help you as far as coordinate with one another, which is the next big thing. You want to make sure that your two flex above all else are communicating with each other. That's pretty standard stuff. Your two bombers are communicating with each other, and the support is kind of the structure that holds them all together as far as, when they need to throw marks for flex, when they need to, get over to the bombers to resupply. So just make sure you're listening to one another. And then as we move on to kind of that team play and transition, you'll start to hear, the flexes calling what target they're on, or if somebody's low, bombers are heading in to different locations so they can put a few shots on, whoever the flex are on to help them out or whatever.
Go center and then
So right now we know that TBD, they go double center before they go under the dish before splitting to going to their different sides. So I line up on Tom here. He chaffs too early. This is too early to chaff because even if he didn't get marked, which is going to come in here, I get just a free ion missile on him. And he thinks he's basically giving me this kill here because he's chaffing too soon. I know that's a hard thing to kind of master, bombers, as far as when flex are kind of waiting to shoot at you. Because right now I'm in that zone that Dalek spoke about in his video. He's like, you want to be at least 300 or below. I like being closer to 200 just because people have even less a reaction time, and that's I can better stop right behind them so I can get them, which is, you're basically going to see a textbook dunk and just kill here. But Tom definitely could have avoided this if he either chaffed just a little bit later, or if he decided to turn off, which I think would have been his better choice. If he feels that he chaffed too early, it's better to just turn off instead of going for the pack. Because he gets dunked here and he's taking immediate damage. That pack, that this big explosion is actually the pack that he originally would have got.
I'll just
Mm.
mention that.
But as you can see, there was nothing here. He actually ended up ramming one of his AI. He didn't get any AI. So that's something that is just, you know, unfortunate as far as
So, yeah.
how you're lining that
I
up.
don't think I got. Did he not get his AI? Why did that happen? I didn't follow that.
Yeah, so what had happened here, let me
Right, I'm
go back here.
He didn't get the ox out.
Yes.
I got dunked
Region
Uh-huh.
That's
one,
AI.
yeah.
Tom's dead.
I
Yeah.
see.
So he got dunked. He didn't get his auxiliary off. Unfortunately, even though it looks like there was a giant explosion, it was really just kind of a cacophony of AI just like flying by. He ended up ramming a couple of them, which ended up leading to his death. So
All right.
at this point, there was no I see that there's no kill on our side, or I'm sorry, there's no death on our side. Both our bombers are still up. So at this point, especially here, even if we were still in the middle, I know that we have the farm advantage unless the bombers are staying, that they're having a difficult time with the enemy flex. I'm going to be going immediately after Raider, which is what I think I do here. I do see that there are other Y-Wings to go after that are marked, but I opt for the Raider because I know that we have the farm advantage.
I'm getting your back on.
So that's kind of the biggest thing. If you notice that you have the farm advantage, you should absolutely just go for Raider. Go for the free damage, because eventually the teams at top play, they're eventually going to start looking at that Raider if the phase starts to take too long. And I think I'm going to skip through a little bit here. But that's basically the only kill that happens. So this is why when it comes to top levels of play, you're going to find it's not just, oh, I'm going to go PK, or, you know, it's attack phase, I'm going to strip shields and I'm going to go PK. Or on the transition, it's like, oh, I'll go PK. I'll go through, I've got another video that we can go through here, that it's all very situationally player kills. And that's what it's going to come down to, is who you can jump on very quickly. If it doesn't work out, then you have to move on. Like if the first ion doesn't hit, you have to move on. I think that's the biggest thing that separates a good flex from a great flex, is that discipline to be able to say, hey, this person is extremely vulnerable. And sometimes that is just dependent on you looking around in your cockpit, not just focusing on your targeting computer, not just focusing on the objective. It's sometimes if you see that Y-Wing whose engine is on fire just flies by, it's just like, oh, who was that? Let's go get them, because, you know, they're at least in the teens. If their engine is on fire, they might be an easy pickup. So it's a lot more of opportunity kills at top levels of play versus, hey, this is the dedicated time that we're going to go PK. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think like probably our biggest flaw right now is that we might get too carried away with PK, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
Right. And that's going to get harder as you face these top level teams. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, that's not to say that PK doesn't exist. It's not true. Typically, the only PK that needs to happen, whoever gets the first kill or the PK advantage on open, is generally the team that wins the game. It's unfortunate so that it works that way. It's not always the case, because sometimes there's swings in the transition that's happening. Sometimes people have too long of defenses and they get, you know, a double out of phase, or, you know, there's just a lot of time lost in phases. But if both teams are playing quote unquote perfectly, the team that is going to win is the one that wins the open by either usually getting a kill on open or two. So this is just textbook getting those shields down. I take a look at Ralph here for a minute just to bully him a bit, because I do know that they're actually running 4 Y-Wings. Their setup is 1 U-Wing, 4 Y-Wings. So they have 2 PK Y-Wings with ICT, which is why we opted for the TIE Fighter here, also for the shield strip. But also it takes a lot of pressure off of our Reaper, which is another thing you're going to have to consider, is like, what does the other team typically run? Now, I understand if you're coming up to Group A, you're not always going to know that. That's something you can always ask me about. You can always ask anybody of those older teams as far as, hey, what is Niwi Siren typically run? What does Cavern Angels Blue typically run? What does TBD typically run? And we'd be happy to kind of go over that. But that's something you also need to be aware of and choosing your loadouts wisely.
I didn't catch particularly why it takes a loadout of the support. Like running TIE Fighter, if I understood correctly.
Yes, so in this configuration, they're running one U-Wing, and on the other side, they're running one U-Wing and 4 Y-Wings. The 2 PK Y-Wings, there's 2 ICT on the field that they run. And while their 2 farmer bombers are farming on defense, their 2 PK Y-Wings are going after us. So because they have ICT, they're going to be going after, they're going to be going after defenders. They're mostly going to be going after the Reaper. And if the Reaper can't get in, that disrupts not only our marks, it disrupts our resupplies for our bombers. So it kind of, the problem multiplies itself. The more that they,
free damage for shields, yes. So there will be much pressure on the Reaper.
Yes. So yeah, we opted for the TIE Fighter because the TIE Fighter doesn't really care about ICT as much. It can get disabled, but it can take a lot more hits than a defender in the hull, at least. And it's less of a target for these Y-Wings. So we kind of shovel them into, hey, you're either going to be looking at the Reaper or you're going to be looking at the defender, which is something that we can play to our advantage, because if we know which 2 targets they're going to be going after, versus if I play defender, that's 3 targets they could possibly go after. So they have more of an element of surprise. Whereas if we just keep an eye on our support and our other defender, it's a lot more to manage. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. I think we usually think of like having a TIE Fighter as more intensive in terms of resupplies for hull and stuff. So that's why it kind of threw me off a bit. But it makes a lot of sense, of course.
Shaft short range.
Yeah, so, and that's the thing why, even if these players, Ralph, he's retired now and he'll just play on Idiot's Array casually. But Ralph was on probably one of the strongest teams in history when Cavern Angels Gold was playing, and they won the championship at Cal Cup Championship, which was the second biggest tournament in Squadron's history, with like a that was when arguably the game was quote unquote the most competitive and the most amount of people were playing it. So he's no slouch, but these are the type of players that you're going to be coming across, is that even though I'm sub 300 closing on 200, as soon as I get that ion out, he's going to get that chaff because he has that reaction time. And he was marked earlier. So there is that factor. It's like the only reason I went after him is because 5 seconds ago he was marked.
Unfortunately.
And that's just something. Yeah, it's something they pay attention to, is they know when marks are going to probably be off soon. So he went off marks here now, but I went for it anyway to see if I could get him because he's flying a little bit straight. Wasn't the case. Ion didn't hit, so I'm going back to damage.
Get it a little lower.
Yeah, bombers just set up packs here. So in this position, we just called that we have the out of phase. Even though we have a ton of morale going in, they're probably going to be burning raiders soon. That's just because we know a little bit of how TBD plays. Typically, your teams on defense, they're going to be PKing at the beginning of their defensive phase. So as soon as we get on the frigate, like you expect to take pressure. That's the same with on the second defense. That's something you should anticipate, is that a lot of teams, they will either PK you at the beginning of your attack, or they won't PK at all, and they'll just go straight raider. So that's something to keep in mind. And that does change sometimes from phase to phase. Sometimes on the first phase, on your first offense, they will PK you to try and disrupt you, to try and slow down your damage. And then on the second phase, flip that. They might not attack you on the first phase. They let you just have the first frigate and go after raider immediately to try and get the quick flip. On the second attack, on your second attack, they can PK you more, because typically that is when they want to deny the second out of phase. I don't know if you've been seeing this, but it shows up a lot in higher levels of play, is that the first phase, they are PKing at the beginning, and then they burn Raider at the end. At the second attack, when we're going for the out of phase on the second cruiser, a lot of teams will opt for more PK on the second one because they leave the Raider up. And the reason for that is because as you get that out of phase, they leave the Raider. It's like, oh, they're forcing you through to the flagship, denying you your out of phase, because typically the pacing is you get your first attack, you get the out of phase. You get your defense, you burn the out of phase, you get the flip off of Raider and farm, you go on your second attack. You set up your second out of phase for defense, and then you repeat basically of what you just did for the first phase, which allows you a full attack on the flagship, which typically ends in a game over, or, you know, you winning the game. People have kind of disrupted that by letting Raider stay up to burn through that second phase, or to burn through that second frigate and force the enemy team to jump onto flagship with not a full morale bar. So that's something to keep in mind if you want me to explain that. I was kind of all over the place, but if you want me to clarify, I can do that later, or in a recap.
Okay, so not back.
And that's something you might want to incorporate. If you find that you're behind a little bit, you might want to leave Raider up on the second defense when they're going after the second frigate to deny them their out of phase.
And then we can probably just go Raider.
I think this is pretty...
I think we've been like a bit of a better job with that lately.
Okay, perfect. This is pretty standard. We just go out of phase, Raider burn, frigate. Let's see. That was a mistake. I don't have to go over that. Yeah, that was a mistake on their part. I think they would have had probably the fastest flip in history, which is what this team is known for on Essely specifically. Let's see if I can get the start of the phase. This is our start of the phase right here going after. They get their out of phase, and they already have their packs lined up. So shields are just going down, and look how much morale they have already. Okay, and I think they'll have another pack coming in here right now. Yep, see? So shields only just barely went down. We're just starting to get into Hall, and they're already at Raider flip, basically. That's very scary for a team. Unfortunately, they had a bit of a slip up, or no, they had some unfortunate luck as far as where AI were respawning, because they opted for an early setup to get every single pack. There's 4 Y-Wings, so they could all set up a pack and grab them very quickly as soon as the phase flips. They get the out of phase, and that's how you end up with this. The problem with this is that whether you're going for Raider, whether you're waiting for the packs to respawn, that gives the other team a ton of time. Ton of time.
Damn.
So normally in this position, I'm hearing from my bombers here that, because normally we would be setting up defense right now. It's like, okay, fine, like they had an amazing defense, let's just set up for defense, and then, you know, we'll go from there. That's typically what you would do in an SOP. But this goes to kind of that whole team communication. I'm hearing from the bombers at this moment. I have the audio way turned down so you can hear me. I'm hearing from the bombers that they understood that they got basically every single pack on transition with the out of phase. So they're going to be taking a lot of time to either burn Raider as 4 Y-Wings, which takes a while because they have no ions other than the U-Wing, or to more likely to wait for the packs to respawn. So because our bombers understood that and told us that, we opted to stay in to see if we can get the out of phase damage in, which is why we all committed to it. And that's ended up let's see if I can go back. It's ended up what was happening. So they finally get this. Okay, so they did opt for Raider because the packs were taking too long sometimes with Eslease. They go under the station, which really sucks. But that's just unfortunate on their part.
So they wanted to buy some time before the pack spawning.
Exactly. Yeah. And as you can see here, we were able to get the Nebulon down to 2, and we're burning it. So that's just an unfortunate event that happened to them. But because our bombers knew that, we were able to make that happen, which probably likely flipped the game in our favor because of how quickly they go through the second frigate, and I think how they have their defense next ends up being the difference. But I can skip ahead here. There's nothing that's really, actually this is important. These are those opportunity kills. So this is on our flagship attack. And this goes into those opportunity kills when we actually get a call from our support as to an opportunity target. Lauren, she had sent out marks on the MC-75. The enemy support just happened to be around, and she clocked that so that when they flipped, marks were still on the support, and then we're able to get on the support here. It wasn't just we need to we need to go get a PK. It's like, hey, this person is vulnerable, so let's go get them. And that was a call again from the support, which is
Gonna blow up before I get to it.
Which is extremely helpful. So half of that is really just keeping those ears open, making sure everybody is turned up in Discord, so that you can hear everybody. So right here is where we get the ping. She's letting us know, and she's talking. She's letting us know that Cosmo is marked. He is vulnerable. I'm holding that. He knows that we're on him because he's already going evasive. I get that sub 200 or sub 300. We get the dunk. A little bit of a sloppy follow-up here, but we're able to follow. And we decide to chase because we're still in the transition period. As you can see, it's still saying, okay, now it finally flipped to defense. We're going to stick on him a little bit more because we don't want to let him in on Star Destroyer. And we're going to be going to Raider immediately after this anyway. And we trust our bombers that they're able to get the farm. Typically, the bombers will know. Obviously, the bombers are going to know when farm is rough, when farm is slow, when packs are kind of looking a little bit sparse. It's their job to communicate that to you. If they don't say anything about how the farm is going, you, of course, can ask, but they should be letting you know that, hey, farm is really slow, we're going to need a kill, or we're going to need this. Listen to that, because unless they say that, you really shouldn't have to PK unless you're on one of those slower farm maps like Nadiri. Sometimes, Xavian or Fostar, sometimes those can be slow maps. But that's something you want to keep an eye out for. Something about PK, when you're in this danger zone, you should think about like a 4-second rule. You should never be going straight at the out of phase capital ship, whether it's the flagship, whether it's the Nebulon. You want to be attacking at an angle here, and you'll see the mistake that our other flex, Rainy, or you might have known her as Quinn. She was actually one of the top bombers. She just wanted to play flex this season, and she makes that mistake of going right at it, as you'll see here. So we're going to chase Cosmo out. We will be getting the kill here. So I was going to pull off until she announced that she was going to get that dunk here. And so we decided to stay in. Cosmo's at 1, so all we need is just 1 hit. So I'm already setting up for when he's going to bounce, when Cosmo is going to bounce, because everybody is going to get that bounce, which is why you want to follow Flex that knows.
Yeah.
Gets the bounce. I'm going perpendicular. I'm traveling perpendicular to the MC-75, and I basically have a 4-second rule before I have to change directions, or I'm going to start taking a lot of damage. That's kind of a good rule of thumb to follow. Is if you need to get a kill. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Whoever that was.
Hadi.
Oh, I think he may have been speaking to someone else.
Yeah, I might be.
Okay, well, traveling perpendicular, because that is the hardest in which the MC is going to target you, or any capital ship. So we're able to line up, we're able to get that finished. You see this right here. Rainy was going straight.
In straight line too.
She was going in straight lane right towards the MC, so that's going to rip her apart. See, there she is, and she's just going straight. She's not going perpendicular to it. If you have to make that long shot, that's where, you know, burst lasers come in handy here. She has standards, so that shouldn't have been something that, unfortunately, that, you know, she had a mistake too. But that's something to keep in mind when you're trying to secure that kill. If they're, you know, just sitting under the capital ship, if they're just sitting under the frigate, we get burn, and yeah, that's GG for that. Oh. Actually, no, I want to go over the defense, because they do get a good burn here real fast. And we'll be going over a little bit more PK things here in a minute. I kind of got like a kill cam quote-unquote montage that kind of we can go over as far as how we were able to capitalize on either dunks or the positioning, how you specifically fly so that you can secure those kills. Let's see here.
Raider flips.
Yeah, so we get it. This is like out of phase range. They're approaching out of phase range if we don't flip it quickly. And this is absolutely a team who knows how to out of phase at that level and still beat us, even though, you know, we have the phase. So right now, our other Flex, Rainy and I, were going back to see what we can do as far as slowing them down. We kind of split targets here at first. I get the first dunk on Tom here, so Rainy opts for that. Another sub 200. So he gets the resupply. Cosmo being a great great support here, knowing where that pressure is coming, following the flex support. That's something that you can keep an eye out for if you aren't already, is to watch the enemy flex. Where are they going? It's a lot easier to follow them versus, you know, trying to sometimes cycle through your allies and find them. Does that make sense? Because the flex are going to take you to where your teammates are.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and as your flex, or, you know, as you're PKing, something that a lot of people don't really practice a lot is this kind of, you don't want to be doing the pitch a lot, or you don't want to be doing, when you kind of have to rotate, you don't want to be yawing to keep on your target, and they're not incorporating rolls to stay on target, which is something that I'll kind of point out here, but that's something you want to practice because it's a lot easier to maintain a roll and kind of feather that versus a yaw, because a yaw, you're pulling your whole ship and it's going to have momentum. So sometimes your aim is going to be a little bit wobbly, versus a roll, which is just like you're just rotating your ship on a different axis, which is they're more stable in that position. So we get a further following here if you saw as far as just a roll. We're gonna roll on Tom here. So here,
You are
right
basically with your
there.
pitch and your roll, right?
With mostly, I'm just talking about right there, that roll. So of course you're going to be using pitch because you kind of roll to follow, but then you want to be pulling up into your target, obviously. So I'm not, his nose is pointing this way, and my pulling up is this way. So I want to be making sure I want to be rolling onto that, which is why I'm able to connect those three right here. And then we're behind him now. Or at least we're going to be in the chase cone now, because now his nose is pointing this way, my pitch is in the same direction. That's what you want for your flex, because it's a lot easier to track your targets. He gets the resupply, so I opt to go after a different target. It's not about getting the kill, again, all the time. It's about getting, slowing them down, getting that repositioning. So because we know that he's being pocketed by his support, I'm going to go after somebody else. Rainy already announced, or I let her know I'm going after someone else, which is good, because this, yes, you will see this cheeky stuff in play at top levels of play. Is like, and that's going to do a ton of damage, and nobody will be looking at it. So another reason why you don't always want to have both flex on a single target, especially if they're pocketed. If they're pocketed, it's better for one flex to stay on that target just to slow them down, keep the pressure on, keep the support there to continue to waste resupplies on them, while the other flex goes to check to see what is going on elsewhere or to go after a different target. In this case, I turn on the ISD to notice that there is a turret and resupply there. He launches another turret, but it dies. You get a miscue there. And so I see the other Y-Wing. And so that's the one I'm going after to try and slow him down. Fortunately, he gets too close. And Tom's there. I see Rainey's on Tom, so I look for someone else. There's nobody else around, and you know that's GG. So those are things you want to keep in mind going into top levels of play. It's not always about the kill. It's about slowing them down, or it's about basically allowing time. You're giving your bombers time. You're giving your support time to do their job, and that's kind of you want to be able to trust that.
I saw the death numbers before. Yes, it's different than what we're used to seeing.
Yeah. You're ideally at top levels of play, you're not going to see a lot of kills per se. You can see a lot of deaths because there's still quite a bit of pilot errors, Galatan especially, or like sometimes AI, you know how they are. Sometimes they're just angry, just absolutely the meanest people or, you know, bots on the field. So let's go to
best flex pairs of the AIs.
It's true. Let me go to, let's see here. In an edge case of extending the phase, that is still something that is possible. It's just that you have to know whether or not an opportunity exists to extend the phase when you're going through offense. So an example here. Oops, I lost it. Here we go. Example here. We're on ISD attack. And this is kind of a desperation scenario, but this is how you can go about something. And I apologize for the quality. Most of these I just pulled from like shadow play or whatever. I didn't actually like record these. So a lot of them are going to be a little bit, well, quite a bit drop in quality. So I do apologize in advance. But this is our ISD attack, which is shields are not down. This is not good.
Yeah, that's
and Niwi played a phenomenal game here. So if they flip, we're pretty sure they basically win. Wait a minute. No, never mind. They don't even have a frigate. They don't even have a frigate yet. So we're doing extremely well. But still, if you want to push in this position to try and win by looking for those opportunities, this is something you can consider, which is going after people. So Sagan, who is paying flex for us here with me, this is kind of where that flex team play comes in, is that you need to make sure that if you are going to go on the same target, make sure that you're telling each other which target, make sure that you're telling each other when you're lining up, give your teammate time to get on the target with you. You don't want to say, oh, I'm on target. Okay, he's dunked. Like, that's not enough time to react for your other teammate. It's like, hey, I'm looking at this person as soon as you're thinking about going after said target. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yes.
Because that's going to make your follow-ups that much stronger, to be able to give your teammate time. So you won't be able to hear the comms here, but I will tell you that many times we'll be telling each other exactly when we are lining up, which means we're looking at this person, we're looking to get a dunk. And that is something...
We actually have kind of a system set up for that. Maybe you can eventually like see us do it and tell us how you think we do.
Yeah, no, that's great to have, because you need to have that level of trust with your other flex pair, is that if they say they're going to line up and they're going to get a dunk, you have to trust that they will. Just because I have the lock here doesn't mean I'm going to go and throw my ion missile. Because if he happens to chaff, if he happens to evade, that's 2 ion missiles we're down, and 20 seconds where we really can't do anything except for pressure. But our likelihood of getting these kills is not going to happen.
I switched to
So we get the kill here. I see Pseudo. He's typically again, this comes into just knowing your opponent. He likes to go on the Raider burn, especially on ISD defense, so he's a prime target. I know that he's a prime target, that's why I target him. He's at half health already. Let's see if we can go back here. So we're cycling a bit, and he's already below half health. So it's like, okay, that's a prime target, so let's go get him. Sub 200,
He's dead.
we get him down. That's still more morale for us. Shields finally go down. Sagan is announcing that he is going after the defender Ska here, I believe. I decide to go after the other bomber who switched from farming, which is a huge mistake on their part. You never want to give up farm. Never, ever.
We only have like 2 people doing damage now. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. You just learn from the mistakes, and these are top level teams. Learn from their mistakes is that you never, ever, ever want to give up farm. One pack would have done this, and they're opting for Raider burn. And so Sagan gets his. I'm going to slow him down because he's the only bomber. There's no other farm. Sagan gets very nicely. He is able to get that defender. I'm able to put side stack in the evasion. He calls that out. I already tell them that I'm on him. There's where that roll comes in. I'm not pulling. I'm not yawing with, what is it? I'm not yawing with what would be, I think it's the right stick for me. It's the right stick for me, which would pull the X-Wing to the right. I'm just rolling, which rotates it, which still, it gives you a much smoother transition, which your targeting is going to track a lot better. Your aim assist is going to help you out a lot more. So just getting that roll in and getting my nose on to where it's the same. He's traveling this way. My pitch is in the same direction, and we get the connection.
Got him.
And so we're actually building morale from this, just from getting kills. Unfortunately, that doesn't hit, but that's okay.
Lauren got power meanwhile, and I don't know if something else.
Yes, so in this, while the Flex are building morale here, just we're going after opportunity targets and capitalizing off of their mistake of not getting AI, for opting for Raider instead of AI. They get Raider here, or I'm sorry, yeah, they just get Raider, but it's not enough now that they've lost so many players when a pack earlier would have done that. So in the meantime, the bombers in combination with the U-Wing is able to get the disable on one gen. They're able to destroy the other. Lauren can there's no pressure. She's very easily able to transition to the power, grab power, and then Y-Wings are basically just stripping bottom and taking crit points as they do. And that's basically going to be the phase. I think I bully JC into hangar here. Yeah, he goes back to hangar. But so they get the flip.
Yeah.
But their ISD's at 6 when it was originally no shields down and one pack would have flipped. So don't make that mistake.
Yeah.
Do not make that mistake.
Quite amazing for how scary it looked like at first.
Yeah.
Like that short bar.
Yeah, normally that would have just been a scrubbed ISD attack. We didn't even get a gen, we didn't get the disables, like it was not good, but we found that opportunity as far as identifying targets of opportunity, taking them out, acting on it. Fortunately, we were able, having that skill, obviously a little bit of luck also as well with the ion missiles, that does come into play, but understanding those openings can mean the difference between you getting that out of phase, your team getting that out of phase and not. And it all comes down to not only just you using your eyes instead of focusing on where you need to point your ship to your targeting computer, but also listening to your teammates. Because if the bombers told us, or if the U-Wing told us, like, hey, we're having a lot of pressure here, we're having a lot of trouble with, stripping turrets, we're having trouble with, taking taking down the shield generators. That is obviously when we drop everything and help them. You need to listen to your bombers. You need to listen to your support and trust them. And same with bombers. Like, listen to your flex, trust them. If they're having trouble, if there's somebody who is right next to you, you know, don't be afraid to turn your guns on them, throw a Golo on them. And we can kind of get into now that team play, because this is where this is where let's see. This is where we would get kills either on transition or just targets of opportunity. We're going to kind of go into that now. So, like, is there anything objective-wise? I know I kind of threw a lot at you and gave you kind of some, like, a few scenarios. I know we're kind of getting close on time here, but is there anything objective-wise that you'd like me to elaborate further on? We can always do this in other sessions, but today I want to introduce you to the idea of, like, the flex role at the highest levels of play is not always about just that kill. It's about buying time for your team. It's about disrupting the enemy team. And often it's about knowing who you're playing, knowing the map that you're playing, and then knowing where you can exploit their weaknesses. And we can go, but is there any questions before I get into just, like, we're just going to go into a straight, like, what, like 5 to 10 to 15 minutes of just straight kills, and I can go through those as far as, like, creating those opportunities for you and your team.
That sounds good, honestly.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. All right. Another one. This was from season 9. Hopefully the quality is a bit better here because I did actually record these and put them together. But this is the season 9 summary of basically all the kills that we got in season 9, and it's like 15 minutes of straight kills. Yeah, that seems like a lot, but it's actually not too many. The only reason it was this long and maybe not 10 minutes is because I think in one of our Niwi Siren matches we decided to just go interceptor, and we did get a lot of kills. That's where you kind of, that's your decision. If you want to, like, hey, we can PK these guys, so let's do that to disrupt. You know, you can do that, but obviously I wouldn't recommend it for all things here. So Pally, this is back when Power Paladin was playing with us. He's gone to now his friends that are a bit more casual in Kyber Eclipse, but still a very good team. You should expect to see them soon. They are kind of in that high B, low A area.
Copy.
So that's a team to watch out for. So he announces that he's going to Maticus. This is where we're doubling here.
I got a line.
Take it.
And this is back when doubling was a little bit better because the haul values were a little bit different. You're going to see some shifts, some slight shifts in SOPs as the modifiers change. But for now, you know, this is really, but for now on open, you would just want to be splitting on open. But this was during a different time when doubling was, you know, you could get them just as fast because people would typically opt for an early raider burn. So that means the support would typically go to strip shields first rather than looking at bombers, because bombers were quote unquote a little bit more tanky at this time. But we're going to be going through mostly a lot of that team dynamic of, like, how the two flex are working together, how the flex and the support are working together, how the bombers can jump in on PK here, which is what we see quite a bit a lot here. So I get the dunk on him. That's pretty standard. If I was a little bit better on the snap around, or if I waited a little bit longer, so if I go back here.
I got a line.
Yeah, so he's already facing this way. He's doing the right thing and already going evasive early, and he's already looking away. This is actually not a good place, not ideal for me to throw the ion missile here. I should have turned with him, done a multi-drift bounce to try and get behind him more quickly and then throw it. But fortunately for me, the ion missile stuck to its tracking, got a nice one, but I'm turning already. I'm hoping that ion missile hits and turning already because I know that he's facing this way, and you want to make sure that you're already looking in that direction because everybody is going to get a bounce. They're always going to get a bounce. So that was a misplay on my part. I was kind of shooting where I thought he would end up, but it's much further. So I had to pull up into it, which is why I don't immediately get the kill. But fortunately, Pally was able to follow up with the OP quick locks. This is opportunity. We're on damage here. Looks like we already have an out of phase. Pally announces that he's on Todd. I don't know who that is. I think it's not Tom trolling because we have a player that's named Rod409. Yeah. Yeah, so, but they're buddies. They're fun. So he told me, I wasn't in position really to follow up with that, but he did announce that he was, you know, lining up on Maticus. He gave out the ping and I was looking. He does get the dunk here. Thankfully, we're able to finish here. And actually, this is actually a great time. Let's see. Go back. I forgot about that. This is actually when our bomber jumps into this, and he's the one who actually gets the kill right here. When you have the out of phase, when you have this much morale left, you're preparing for defense. This is a great time for the team to set up some kills, okay? Because bombers, they can quickly like see where the packs are going or where they're going to end up. So it's like, hey, I'm going to line up this dunk so you guys can help me with killing it. So we didn't get it there, but Revenge, he was our bomber at the time, and you know, he was the one who was following up. He was very good about that. He was very good about when we were setting up defense, listening for those flex calls, and he would follow those flex calls. And you'll see at the end here, it's actually a short little montage of him just getting like rotary kill after Golo kill after Golo kill, just from taking note of where those flexes are focusing. So again, very much keep your ears open when you're thinking about transition. And he has an exclamation there. He's a big let's go person. That's Rebel. That's Rebel. He just bonks. So he just gives us that for free. That's nothing special. Lions, I think I just bonk him here. Lion's a great player. I know you know who he is.
Oh yeah.
I'm back at cruises. Quick.
And the best thing that Lion does, he's in a defender, so it's a lot easier to do, but even in the bomber, his objective of evasion is to stay off the screen, off your opponent's screen as long as possible.
Huh.
That's the best thing. And the easiest way you can do that is to keep turning into your opponent. Keep turning into them, keep passing them, keep crossing them. Just keep you off their screen, off this area as much as you can. Fortunately, I bonk him here, which is kind of funny. We had a giggle about it later, him and I, but Ali announcing his lock here, so I'm able to somewhat follow up. He gets the kill though. Let's see. This is just following. I don't think there's anything here, but matching his nose with where my pitch is.
Did you get it?
Getting a little bit rotate here, and again, the tethering is a lot better when you follow with pitch. Your shots, you're going to find once you get that down, that kind of feel for following with pitch and rolling, you're going to hit more shots, which is very helpful when, you know, they're moving around a lot.
Interesting.
Oh, this is funny. Okay, so here's where it comes into just using your eyes to look for opportunity kills. I'm obviously going after this TIE interceptor here. That's a juicy target as a Plasburst user. One shot is enough to just erase them. But I noticed that there's just a stationary TIE fighter just right here. That is a player. So I don't even lock onto him, just shoot him and he's dead.
Yeah.
He's just taking a lot of damage. So that's something that, like, if I were to just continue to go after that interceptor, I would have completely missed that kill. Just an easy 5 morale for us to extend the phase. They lose their Raider burner. So that's just things you want to keep an eye out for. Again, this is the beginning. We're kind of rapid firing here, so I'm sorry if this is too fast, but I am recording, so we'll be able to go back through it. Okay. So this is on what I was talking about, how on the second attack, see one frigate is already down. The second attack, the teams will typically opt for more PK to leave the Raider up. You're going to get your damage. They'll deny you by the Raider burning through, forcing you through to the ISD. So that's why I'm keeping an eye on this Interceptor. He has been... Ska in this game was providing the most pressure to our Y-Wings. So I'm keeping an eye on him. So we're doing a little bit of damage here. I see an opportunity where Quinn's come in here. You saw, or Quinn, Rainy now. She had a brand change. And she was doing her run. That's when Y-Wings are most vulnerable, when X-Wings are most vulnerable. Those, you know, orbits that I kind of showed you, you're like shooting, and then you kind of like go back, you do like a backflip almost with your ship, and you kind of reset and shoot again and kind of repeat. That's when they're most vulnerable. So that's when this Interceptor is going to be lining up right behind him. So I figured that's the best time to just go and erase him.
Oh,
because a lot of people, they're just going to be focusing on that kill, and those are the opportunity things you want to be looking for. So on typically Flex, on your transitions, and I said this to the Y-Wings as well when we were talking about damage. We were talking about OBJ damage in previous videos and tutorials, is that once shields are down and you know you don't have, like, I don't have proton torpedoes, I don't have conks, there's no reason for me to be locked on to the frigate. If you're running multi-locks, if you're running Golos, you don't need to lock on to the frigate. You can dumbfire Golos, your multi-locks are going to lock on automatically. So look at players. Just look at players. You'll see those opportunities, especially Flex, when you know, they're at the 200 mark, they're at, you know, 500, they're around the frigate. You know that they're nearby. So if they present themselves as opportunity targets, it's a great time to go after them, or just take a quick look at them, see if you can get them. If not, then you can just go back to damage. But that's something I'd really like to see in your videos going forward, is that once shields are down, once like you have no reason to be locked on to the Arctican, just look at Flex, enemy Flex, just look at players, see where they are, and kind of work that into your habits, because it's a good habit to have. I'm playing Bomber here, actually. And here, I was burning Raider. We were doing... I think that's just how we were doing, because Rod, I think, was being the second farmer, and he's comfortable with just, like, covering most of the farm. And I was only mildly helping with farm. So there'd be a lot of times when our support, Alex at the time, he would call out targets that the Flex would be going after. I just happened to be in the vicinity. If I happen to be in this vicinity, I just take a few rotary shots, getting a little bit on him, and just weaken him a bit, make it easier for other people to finish him off. Which is something like that took no time. That took no time out of me. Like, I can very easily just go back to, you know, farming. So just keep an eye out for those pings. Keep an eye out to where the enemy is, and you can shoot at him for a little bit, just a little bit though, before going back to farm here. Again, on the transition, I have no idea the madness that's happening down here. I'm just farming this little AI for flip. And then look at all this. Did you see this? Yeah. It's like there's 2 ions, there's like 4 players there. Like, it's just something I happen to see. So I look for the earliest targets, like, okay, that's him, I'm cycling, that's like teammate, enemy. Enemy's disabled. Okay. Quickly try and turn my rotary towards him. I didn't really get anything, but we're able to get the kill off of it. But that's kind of the mentality you want to have. Like, if you see chaos happening in your very small window, just look at who's available and just start shooting. And then if you get them, cool. If you don't, like, no big deal. And this is just in the transition. I'm not turning around, going back to frigates to shoot somebody. It was just strictly in passing.
Yep.
I didn't even decide to go after Foca. It's just like, hey, if I get him, whatever. If not, trust the Flex to take him down. And then we're moving on to attack. So, like, for bombers, it's extremely situational, extremely situational, but it does happen. So just, you know, keep your eyes open and keep an eye out for that. If you don't have the target my attacker forward mapped, I would highly recommend mapping that to a button where it's just, instead of cycling through targets, whatever is just like target whatever you're pointing at. I can't remember what it's called, but map that.
It's like target ahead or something.
Yeah, yeah, lock target ahead or something. Yeah, this is how you kill defenders with blast bursts. They, even at top levels of play, many defenders fly very much the same. They make the same mistakes. They make the same, I'm gonna get 500-600 units of distance and then I'm gonna come straight at you, or I'm gonna sit here, get my lock, and then I'm gonna charge in and get the dunk. Like that's how most defenders fly, and that's the easiest. Those are the easiest targets to take down. And we're gonna see the punishment that basically Hive Guard takes from this. Knocking Sundance again. He's just taking dunks. Don't kill because he's just sitting. Don't do that. Don't do that in defender. See, look, he's sitting because he's getting a lock. He's sitting. He's coming in slowly. He's turning around. This is what they do. They hit this long drift. They get 400 to 600 units to get the lock, and then they're coming back in a straight line. Don't do that. Do not do this. This will happen to you every single time. Don't do that.
I'm on deck.
So this is a call from my flex, or my flex buddy, Paladin. Champion Ion that's able to just follow that. There's nothing really special about that. That's pretty textbook. Again, under 300 units. If Dick bounced one more time there, he would have evaded that Ion. Because he's multi.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he multied one more time or even just refreshed his boost, he would have evaded that right there. He would have missed. Pally's able to finish there because he's got the burst and conks. Yep. Boom. Let's see, Fox here. That's another just opportunity. I don't know what I was turning off of. It's kind of hard to know when these are turning, but I'm in a transition here. Must have already just burned Raider. Oh no, Raider's right there. I'm not sure what happened here. Oh, this is our this is our offense. Okay, because he's going after Raider. I see. Okay, so yes, this is in the transition. Basically, we're kind of just starting to make our way towards where we're already there. I'm not sure. Don't listen to me. Yeah.
Frigates, I believe.
Yeah, it looks like we're already at frigates and have a ton of morale. And then for whatever reason, I decided to turn on Fox because he's right there.
They don't have morale.
Fox is dead.
I think it was... I'm not sure exactly what happened. But there is a reason why I would turn away from this. Because typically with an Ion Torp, I should be going to strip Delta. Because with this much morale, you're going to be going after Delta for sure. So a bit of a misplay here from me. Sure, I got the kill, but it's like it's 5 morale versus stripping shields on frigate. Like, what's more important? Definitely stripping shields for your team. And passive as well. Let's see. But it could have been just a situation where it's just like, hey, I see Fox is marked. He's kind of close by. Let's see if we can disrupt their Raider here. Their Raider burn. But ideally, I should have been on the shield strip. That was a terrible Ion, by the way. Don't do that. I got lucky here with that dunk.
No, they're about to flip.
Like 400. Yeah, he's marked, but he's pointing this way. That's a really hard track, especially if he bounces at the right time, if he refreshes his boost at the right time. That's a really bad spot for an Ion to track there. So I got really lucky with him not boosting. Looks like he was just sit there, and the Ion, you can kind of see the trail of how it was able to follow. So that definitely was lucky. That's not something you want to do. I think he boosts right into the rock.
Okay, looking at
That was a great dunk by Pally. He was drifting, and you kind of saw that Jackal had already leveled himself out. And that comes into that kind of pacing that we talked about earlier. It's like, because you know the pattern of power management, of when you're moving power, boost, drifting, switching back, moving power, boost, shift, moving back, you get that rhythm. You see that rhythm. Like, you will see people make patterns in the air as when they're bouncing, when they throw in like a multi-drift. And that's something that Pally was also really good at seeing. He was seeing, like, as soon as they bounce, right after that bounce, that's a great time to throw the ion missile, because they're not going to be bouncing again soon. So he gets a nice drift. I don't know how close he is, but that looks really close. But I'm already lined up because he announced it to me, and we're able to follow up pretty quickly here.
He's at 8.
Again, this is back when Y-wings were super tanky. So even though we had crazy lineups, you know, they were still able to live through that. They since have nerfed a little bit of NR. This is the interceptor. Yeah, this is on the Niwi game when we decided to go for more PK. Again, most of it is just waiting for Pally's calls, because I'm not going to be doing much with lasers unless they're not paying attention. Interceptor lasers are extremely strong, but if they're evasive, or, you know, if you have crazy good tracking, you're probably just better off waiting for that dunk.
Heard left.
Again, so he dunks. So notice we don't start firing. We already talked about this earlier, or a couple times before. But I'm not firing at all. Like, even though he's flying straight, I can line that up. So he chaffs. There's no success there. So we just open up on him. Both open up on him with the quick locks, and we're able to just burst him down. But
you don't fire until the ion goes out, right?
Yes. Yeah. So you do not fire until you see that ion failed. Wait, let me go back here. So I'm waiting. There's the ion. Doesn't hit, so we're just opening. Immediately opening.
I'm gonna start damage on shields.
Again, because you want the most laser power going into all directly. So you don't want to waste it on shields. Autumn was already disabled, so I'm able to open up on him. Or on her, excuse me.
Oh wow, I'm lagging like a bitch.
Yeah, same.
Who else needed resupply?
Autumn, typically the A-wing pilot.
What's up, fam?
So having a more tanky ship is actually beneficial to her, but we're able to chip her down.
Use the missiles.
Yep.
Again, I have target here, but I'm not shooting until that ion connects.
I'll be on Archer soon.
And is able to convert on that kill, even though the support was relatively quickly there with the resupply. I know Pally's I know his ion missile is not up yet, because that was a quick transition. Like, we immediately got Volwraith, and then I know that 20 seconds is not passed yet, so it's okay to start shooting at your second target if they don't have overcharged shields, or if they're marked. So he's pretty low here. He's, you know, we can get him, so we just burst him down. That's kind of an exception. That's not always going to be the case.
I'm looking at him.
Yeah, we got.
Autumn is going straight for me.
JC turning on me, not smart.
Copy Autumn.
When you have like a TIE fighter or an interceptor that are looking at you with the defender, you as a support, do not turn on them. As a Y-wing, you could turn on them. You have Golos that can threaten. You have multi-locks that can threaten. Because they are hulled ships, they do not have shields. It's a good time. It's a good time to turn on them. For a support that's typically running ion lasers, do not turn on an interceptor. Do not turn on a TIE fighter. You can turn on a defender because they're shielded and they have low hull, but do not turn on those strictly hull ships.
Okay.
It's just a good rule of thumb. If you're straight up better than the person, sure, you can turn on him. But in most cases, do not turn on those ships as a support.
Were you saving your ASM here for some reason?
Probably might just be better marks. Maybe waiting for the ion, but we don't need it.
I can need a heal.
Yep, you're welcome.
Oh, that was cool.
Yeah.
Most of that is just, it takes time. Like, it takes time. Spend a lot of time. Like, if nobody's on and I've got some time to kill, just go into practice and shoot the AI. Like, you can practice your drift shooting really well against them, and that's where that comes in handy. Is like, if you don't have a good angle when that dunk hits, you know, hitting that drift and then aiming for those 2 seconds that you have before they, you know, get back to moving again. That's all the time that you have. So you want to make sure you capitalize on that. So even like 5-10 minutes a day, you know, that doesn't take a lot of time just to jump into practice mode, practice your drift shooting. It's really helpful. It's a lot easier to practice with the interceptor because it has basically overpowered standard lasers. I know there's a lot of plas bursters in here, which is good. That's what you want, but it's still good to practice those drift kills. A good rule of thumb is this crosshair. There's the cross in the middle, and then there's these two kind of brackets. If you can imagine a circle, those brackets are creating a bigger circle. Typically, your target is not going to be outside that circle when you're leading your target. So if you think it's a very strong angle, just go to the edge of the circle, and you'll find that you should be hitting more of your shots. It's never going to be outside that circle. It's going to be somewhere in between, and you'll get a feel for that. But imagining that circle is something that helped for me. So feel free to try that when you're working through your drift skills.
What you meant, like what are you trying to keep the target in the circle? I'm not sure I got that.
Yes. Yeah, so let me go back to this. I think it was this one.
I got top.
Armpit strips.
So like right here where I'm actually making connection with my lasers while I'm drifting basically in parallel with him. I'm drifting in the same direction as him, traveling kind of beside him. Like he's in the circle there, I get a few shots. Like he's still in that imaginary circle that these brackets, but I'm starting to get outside. That's where you're going to have that connection. But as soon as I start getting, he's outside the circle now, you can see my shots missing.
Yeah.
So just imagine the circle. Imagine the circle and keep him in the circle.
All right.
That's where more of your aim assist is going to come into play.
Full race marked.
Because they're not always going to be at these corners or on this edge. Sometimes they'll be like up here. Sometimes they'll be down here. It's just where they are.
Down here. Yep,
Again, in the circle.
down here. Yep,
In the circle. Shots are missing. Shots hitting there because he's in the circle. It's really blurry, so I apologize for that. At least it's very... You can count the pixels on the screen, but
Nice.
it's good damage.
I didn't receive it.
Copy.
No longer marked.
Again, and this is just... We're picking targets and just going one by one, just going straight through them. It's very strong. It's not ideal. If you can do it quickly, it works. But as you get to higher levels of play, at least for open, just again, make sure you're splitting bombers. If it's during the phase or during transitions, it's okay to double up. It's okay to double up on transitions or during phases because typically the support is elsewhere. Sometimes they're resupplying, sometimes they're getting marks, or they're resupplying a flex or someone else.
I think we're used to doubling up quite frequently on opening, so maybe we can work on that.
Yeah, of course. And I think in our next session we can kind of focus on the open here, because the open is the most important phase. It's my favorite phase. It's kind of like everybody's freestyling, especially at top levels of play. It's just whoever gets that. Here you need to be able to pull off of your target. Obviously, I have an A-wing on. They pulled an A-wing out now because they do see the interceptor. So that's something you need to be aware of. Somebody's on you. Don't commit. Just disengage and then re-engage. If you can take him out, which we do here.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that comes down to your ability. If you know that somebody's on you and you can engage them, by all means do so. If you can take them out quickly, and A-wings are fairly easy to take down. Again, just waiting for that dunk to hit. And saving that quick lock for when those shields are down. because that's basically you line up, you get it, the quick lock happens and finishes it for you. If you have the quick locks, which you should if you're running Plasburst Defenders, which is what I think you guys will be running here. Again, keeping that target in the circle.
So we have like most people here run standard or burst. I believe Kronos has been trying flash burst lately.
Okay. Standard is great.
And I'm gonna push Archer then.
Well, Kronos has been trying everything lately.
That's good. Because as you try different things, you kind of learn that understanding.
I'm looking at
Yep, autumn.
Autumn. I'm down here, Quinn. Mark's out.
Autumn tries to ram me there.
There we go.
We could...
Yeah.
I don't blame her, to be
I'm
honest.
moving in for that dunk.
Hmm.
Let me know when Mark's.
I think this is just chipping away. Yeah, this is just chipping away, just preventing slacks from regaining those shields if you can.
Mark's out, you said?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Doesn't matter if you get the huge line, if you can kind of disrupt it.
It's getting
He lines up here, yeah, and he gets
Uh,
trying to go for that out of phase. Don't commit.
yeah.
Don't sell out. Don't do it.
Mhm. The temptation is always strong.
Yeah, it's very strong, but your life is more valuable than getting an AI or something else.
You wind that quickly. That's like
Yes.
Mark's on.
I don't think they come across. We'll just keep going here because there's nothing crazy special. Just a standard dunk and then a finish from, I believe.
It looked like you were yawing into that. That's why I was
I'm lining up.
asking you to rewind it.
I'm lining up. And out.
Medic on me.
It's disabled.
But no, you
Right there. Yep, that's bad. Don't do that.
Mhm.
Good call out.
Back to damage.
I do it too.
Lining up. Iron out. It's disabled. Quick to farm. Nice.
Fortunately, my flex was there to finish.
Big brain just stay on me.
That's kind of a misplay by me. See that smoke trail?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That Ewing's low. That's a prime target. You see a Ewing, you see a support smoking, you go after that because they can't heal unless they go all the way back.
Right.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, it also has the red halo that indicates it's marked as well, so it's...
Yeah, he's marked, he's hurt. That's yeah, so that's a misplay by me. Use your eyes. Like he's right there. He's right there.
Yeah.
And I don't even go after him. But fortunately I'm still able to get a kill here. There's a lot of dunk and everything happening.
Rain's down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at Super Kev. I got a line.
Let's see.
Oh, that's close.
140. That's very close. And I think the only reason I do that is because I see he's looking at Raider right here. And Super Kev, he likes to sit. He likes to kind of just cruise right here. As soon as he's lined up, this is a great time to dunk. Typically, you would not take this shot, even if you're that close, because at the speed that I'm going at, especially because I boost into it, it's going to take me a while to turn around and look at him. So that's not what you want. But I decided to opt for it because I was hoping at least that the second flex was looking at it. I see here that one of my bombers actually acknowledged that he was looking. He was looking here. So I took the shot very closely, definitely get the dunk. And they were able to rip through him pretty quickly. So it's very, sometimes it can be very like, I'm just going to make this decision right now. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, we're moving on. This is on the transition. Super Kev is one of their ion carriers, obviously. So I'm looking at him. The quality has gone really far down, but that's an easy follow-up. And that's why you can kind of like boost drift into your dunks. Like you boost, obviously, to get that extra speed boost with your ion, but you should be like drifting immediately after you let go. So that way you can stop like right behind him. You don't have to go past him, because turning is not something you want to be spending your time doing.
You're usually boosting while you release the ion missile and then you leave, right?
Yes. Yeah, you wanna be boosting boost, release ion missile, immediately go into a drift. So that you can, or so that you can stop, more likely, because depending on where they go to, or you want to go into a drift because you're more maneuverable when you're drifting, so you can more quickly react to where that bounce is happening. Obviously, you want to be, let's see if I do this here. I think I was drifting sideways, so it was kind of hard for, yeah. So that dunk is going, this is terrible quality, but the dunk is already going into this blob here, which I promise you is an X-Wing. And we're already kind of hinting at, we're going to be looking this way because we know that he's traveling in this direction. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. And that's for an easier follow-up. So when you're boosting, release the ion, hit the drift, pre-aim as to where you think that bounce is going to happen. If you don't know where it's going to happen, just follow the nose. And then you can quickly respond. You can make your adjustments with the with your drifting. And then if you want to just let go as soon as you have the shot, then you can let go and you can have a steady shot here. That is risky though. You don't want to be stopping, which is what I did here, which is why I was heavily punished right here. Fortunately, I was able to get a resupply, but that happens when you let go and you're kind of just sitting there. I wasn't ready for that follow-up. That's on me. That may have been a situational that my teammate did, but fortunately I had a champion ion missile that followed all the way and was able to get that.
I'm not there.
Okay. When facing against, Big Brain is a very evasive player. You will come across these players more and more as you're kind of advancing, and when you're thinking about Plasburst, his Achilles heel is that when he's targeting somebody, when he's either setting up a tractor or whatever, he just sits. That's the best time to attack these people. Is if they have a weakness, learn the weakness and exploit it. Obviously, if you can. But that's his Achilles heel, and every single player has one, even at top levels of play. I have one, Big Brain has one, like all of the randos, they have some Achilles heel that can be taken advantage of when they're most vulnerable, and when is the best time to kill him. So we're able to get that dunk here. Like, this is a dream. Like, this is a dream at half, full power.
This is beautiful.
Yeah, look at that. He's still at 1.
Oh no.
And I do kind of exclaim that in the video here, that he's like, oh my goodness, he's at 1. He gets away. But this is where you tell the whole team, like, everybody's pinging here, I'm repinging. Like, you tell everybody to get on this target because that is a very important target. Fortunately, I'm able to follow him. I've been playing against Big Brain for a long time, so I kind of know how he flies. So I'm able to quickly, like, I know he's going to cross me. I know that he's going to change directions twice. So this is his first. He's already turning. It looks like he's coming at me, but I know he's going to cross somewhere in this direction. So I'm already just like positioning my shot here to follow his nose, and then we're able to follow up on him and get a kill.
Nice.
Jospin's 37.
Yeah, I see him.
But yeah, that's what a lot of players will do, because at full speed,
Good.
oh wait, at full speed, they just kind of fly by in front of you. But if you know it's coming, it's easier to kind of know that they're going to cross you, like right here. Which is those, when you're Plasburst, that's the interception kind of angles you want to look for. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, because, oh no. American stuff.
Very American.
I've got to go, but thank you, Disco.
Yeah, of course. And again, this video will be up, or I'll post it once I get it uploaded here. That was fortunate.
See you, Connor. Have a good one.
See you later, guys.
See you.
Bye.
And this was also a bit of luck. This was where a bit of luck comes in, because he could have kept rotating. He could have gone this way. He could have gone up, and I wouldn't have had the shot.
Big Brain, I got him.
But fortunately, it was just he waited a bit too long to do that second bounce, or that would have been that third, I guess.
Jospin's 37.
Yeah, I see him.
That was our bomber calling out that target. Our bomber noticed that this bomber was low and we were looking, and that was in the transition, so we're going into offense.
That's nice.
Again. So yeah, so again, this is that same revenge. He was our flex, or not our flex, he was our bomber that was very good at, during this time in the phase, when we were about to flip, he was really good at looking for opportunity targets, pinging them for the flex. So that's something that your bombers can do too. They can ping targets, you know, to get the dunk on him and then finish. Fortunately, he bonks in here, but, you know, everybody was looking at him. So it's a good call from our bomber there.
I got one eye on Empower.
Copy, coming to power.
Okay, so Quinn gets dunked here. I see. I know what this is. It's really hard to see, and I can't apologize enough for the quality.
It's
but Quinn is getting murdered right here, and the flex is actually right here. Even though we're on attack, like we're looking pretty good. We've gotten most of the strip down. I'm trying to save Quinn here. She crashes, unfortunately, but I'm able to make this defender pay. Follow the dot. I see that was happening. It's a lot easier to see in the game because my quality is a lot better in the game. And here it's like, where even is the defender? I do not see a defender because I'm not even locking onto him. But there is a dot there. There is a player there. And there's the kill right
beautiful.
there. Yeah. So look for those. Look for those moments when, you know, they're looking at your friends. It's just those times when they're lining up on your friends. They can be the most vulnerable. And you can, if you can get a quick kill on him, it helps a lot. Again, the transition here.
I got a shot on him.
Nice.
We, this is going in the transition. I think Zug here, his job is to get the out of phase. So I ping for Pally, who's right here. And we're going in that direction anyway. It's a great time to go after this bomber. Whether or not he turns on us, he turns away. Fortunately, he turns on us because I think he's, yeah, again, he's getting the out of phase. He's looking, but he's taking a lot of damage from the frigate. And I think he was too focused on the frigate to notice us coming right at him. So he gets dunked. I get a shot off right there. And then just kind of drifts by him and he crashes into the Nebulon. So that was very fortunate. Either he would have crashed or the Nebulon just would have taken him out. That's a good dunk from Pally. Just a quick follow-up. Plasbursters, don't worry about getting like way up close and personal. Even though I'm at 300, like damage fall off starts at 200. So I am getting a little bit of damage fall off here, but it's not much. Like this is still okay. It looks a little bit far, but you're still doing a lot of damage, which is like, that was a big mistake that I see from a lot of Plasbursters. Not necessarily you guys, but anyone who's starting out Plasburst or even some of the veteran players, they make the mistake. It's like, oh, I got to get like right up next to him to shoot him. It's like, no, if you like 400, 300 is still okay to shoot at him. It's a little bit harder to connect, but like once you get a feel for how that bolt travels through space, you know, it's a lot easier to just chip away at people. I think we'll see something here similar to that later. This is just a follow-up.
It's difficult to track as well, I believe.
Yes, it can. So yeah, you're putting a lot of stock into that shot if you're trying to get up close and personal. This is just a dunk follow-up. Yeah, that's pretty easy, pretty standard. Let's see here. That's just a dunk, I think. Yeah, we get the dunk. He does get the boost off, but he gets the drifts right into the... That's just lucky.
Come on, Crazed.
Okay, Crazed was announced, so we're looking at him.
He's going under the Venator.
Marks out.
He already chaffed. Way too early to chaff if you saw that.
Yeah.
Waiting for marks. He's going
Like right there. There was the chaff.
Marks out.
You don't chaff there. You like right here is where you chaff. When you're like... You see your pack, like you're starting to line them up and maybe you're starting to get the lock. That's when you want to chaff right here. Because it's free at this point.
I'm surfing the Venator right now.
So bombers, please take note of that. Like don't chaff too early. Have that discipline. If of course it's a little bit difficult because sometimes the support may be coming at you from a weird angle and you don't know that the marks are coming. But there is like a little spot that you can have where it's just like this is too early. This is like, okay, maybe I should chaff, and then here's where like if I pass a certain point, it's too late. Like you should be chaffing or you're probably already going to be marked. And we can kind of go over that even if it's just a timing thing. That's fortunate. He just drifted right into it. The mark's just going on. That's not... You don't do that, but that's okay. We were playing with a sub support.
Ah, because of the timing, right?
Yeah, so like he already got dunked and he's already going to be taking a lot of damage. And I think Fame, he typically plays for Help Works. He was subbing for our support, you know, which is fine. But in all seriousness, like the marks are coming out here. Don't do that, support. Yeah, like he's at 22. You don't need to mark him. Just put ion lasers on him. It's better to do that. Because I think he's going to die from lasers here. Yeah, because look, you didn't even need the marks. He just disabled him from ion lasers. Just do that.
Now you go on attack and have no marks.
Yeah. So that's just a... Yeah, it worked out, but that is a misplay there. Again, you want to be in that cone area behind your target when you're lining up that ion. I'm waiting for him. Like, he's starting to show me his engines. Like, you can't see it because the video quality is terrible, but like you can see their engine burn. And that's what you want to look for. You don't want them to be perpendicular to you. You want to be behind them in that kind of cone area before you're releasing. I can see the engine, so I can go after him. It's a lot easier to follow up that way because they won't bounce as dramatically off to any one direction. This is one of those opportunities. We were finishing up Burning Raider. Finishing up Burning Raider and oh wait, this is too far. Finishing up Burning Raider, which is by the frigates here. I'm not locked onto him. See, I see we're actually okay. We're still on the frigate, and I'm kind of repositioning, yeah, because it's off to this direction. But I see that a Y-wing right here. This engine is on fire. So I quickly switch and announce to, there's the ping. I announce to, I mean, I say it, you can't hear it because I got the audio turned down, but you want to let your flex know that. Like, you have to go after those people that are so low, and, you know, you've got people available. Pally telling me that he has an ion missile off cooldown, so he's lining up. He still gets the resupply, but I tell Pally to stay on him. Just because the way that Jekyll is flying right now, I know that we can take him. That's just a judgment call. I'm not gonna do it. Okay, yes, I do throw it because Pally he announced to me that he does not have the lock. So the moment I hear that, that's when I throw it, and we're able to follow up on him.
Nice kill, nice kill.
So again, like that. Just look around. Look around. I can't say it enough. Just look around. Look for those opportunities. They're there. I promise they're there. They'll show up. And then just communicate that with your team, and you will get kills.
Nice.
Pod's low.
Oh, this is a restart. Okay. There's one last thing I want to go over before I let you guys go. And that's for more of you Plasburst users here. And this one's only 2 minutes, so it'll be short. But after that, we can kind of go into some more questions, but that'll kind of cover some situations as far as, you know, how you want to be setting up your kills, how you want to be looking at this game as you approach higher levels of play. Because it's going to become a lot more nuanced here. So let's finish up here. Just standard orbits. I'm looking for a bomber to kill, because this is about the time that Raider will about flip for them. Yavin flips come in very fast, so you're not always going to get that out of phase. So it's good to go on somebody early to either see if you can extend that phase or get a kill as soon as you flip. And that's what I'm searching for here.
Mark soon.
Thank you, Mark.
Yep, easy follow-up, sub 200.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's pretty standard takedown there. Missile missed. You typically do not do that. That worked out though in the passing.
The other room's at 5. Yeah. We can get a duplicate phase.
Close shot. Another drift by.
In most of these, you are usually following up with the SMs. Do you but the targets were marked. Do you typically also bait chaff with ASM or something?
Very nice.
Normally, yes. And sometimes I actually switched my ASM to the right here because my left bumper on my controller actually is very finicky. Sometimes it doesn't work. So it's like I want the ASM to work more than the ion missile because I can press the ion missile. Like it's my own issue, but that's sometimes I forget to fire the ASM because I'm not used to having it. Or yes, sometimes it'll just be baiting chaff. Sometimes it's really just a lack of me having ASMs because usually I'm running TIE Fighter and X-Wing, which typically don't have quick locks. So I'm usually not using quick locks a lot, but sometimes it will be, which I think you'll see more of here. So Rediac gets a resupply. I'm still staying on him. The marks are going out.
Looking at minor.
So,
Thank you.
It's just pressuring because I don't know if we already got the ISD. That's just a dunk there into the frigate. I don't think you typically want to do that. I think we were just doing that because they were starting to move towards the ISD. And I think we already burned Raider, maybe? I'm not sure. Oh no, I think I saw a star there. Maybe not. Yeah, so we were prepping Raider. We had prep Raider to have it low so that it's ready to burn once they go into ISD, and then just PK. PK, when they're burning through, you know they're going to burn through onto the ISD or onto the MC-75. So you want to prep the Raider. If you've got some time before they move in, you can PK for sure. And then once they move in to disable the shield gens, that's when you can either go after a target or you can go for Raider. I would recommend going for Raider just because that's an easy 20 morale that you're guaranteed. Unless you have really good lineups and they're marked or something. Unfortunate. Fame actually got a partial disable here just because he bounced off the shield generator just at right time, so the ion missile actually hit the shield gen and just splashed him a bit. And then I went off in a different direction, so I couldn't follow up here, but I stay on him just because I'm going in that direction anyway. Which is he's getting out, so that's kind of something you want to keep in mind, is that if you need to get out early, because he's not only trying to escape the out of phase lasers, he's also traveling in the same direction as me, so the flex are more likely to be on you when you're trying to get away. And that's exactly what I'm doing here. I'm just giving him pressure because we already have shields down. Like the bombers and the other flex, they don't need me. So I'll just stick on Fame a little bit longer. He's, this is Raider burn. And we're just chipping away at him. Chipping away. He's still taking damage from the ISD. And so that's a situation you never want to put yourself in, is that you don't want to be trying to evade the out of phase flagship lasers while evading a flex. So get out early. Don't commit. And if you're not going to make it, just get out. Defense is better, I promise. But that's basically, I know this was a lot of there was a lot of film, there was a lot of examples. Sometimes it's really hard to put into practice. But again, in this first session, I want to make sure that we're kind of going over how PK looks at higher levels of play, and that kind of transition as far as going from attacks to defense, vice versa, going to flagship, coming off flagship, after burning Raider, after burning out of phase. It's all very situational. Whether or not your bomber notices somebody's low, whether or not support notices somebody's marked and low. These are all things that I think you can work on in the off season going forward, is to kind of, in that transitionary period, it's okay if you're not getting the damage, if you're practicing working together as a team to get those kills on the transition. So I would argue, when you're going through your practices in the off season, go to when you reach that certain bar or that certain part in the bar of the morale where it's about to flip either on defense or to defense or to offense. It doesn't matter. Just practice working as a team, looking for an opportunity kill, and then practice like working together to take down that kill. If it doesn't work within, you know, the first ion, then, you know, you can go back to whatever the objective play is. But I would say next steps is to practice that as a team, even if, you know, that means pulling off of damage for a little bit. It's okay if you lose games in the off season to practice working together. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then flex, of course, you just want to make sure that you're practicing that rolling that I talked about, lining up your pitch with where their nose is pointing to follow them. You want to be practicing your kills together. You want to be practicing your splitting bombers on open. So a really good drill is to just put your bombers on one side, put your flex and support on the other. And then the objective of the bombers is to win open. Objective of the flex is to kill the bombers when you're marked. So like it's good evasion training for the bombers. It's a good way for the bombers to practice like when they're going to get marked. So you can kind of get a feel of like when is your last moment that you can chaff so that you can get that pack and then get out of there or just go evasive. Or if, you know, somebody dunks you early, if you can go get out, go evasive and announce to your other bomber, it's like, hey, I'm under pressure, you know, pick up my pack or something. So those are the things you want to be practicing. If you want me to like show you more film, if you want more examples, I can go over that. But a lot of, again, a lot of this first session here is more of just theory of getting into that mindset of what higher level of play is going to be like. Because I suspect you guys, I suspect you guys are going to be very high B tier at the end of next season, or at least I'm hoping. I would love to see it. I'd love to see you guys in A. Obviously would love to see you guys in the playoffs next season. But we'll just take it one step at a time, okay?
Of course.
All right.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Lots of fruitful thoughts. And yeah, I think this practicing the opening is really something we should look at now in the off season. I think even though we did quite well during the season, we lost most of the openings. So that's certainly something we can improve.
Sure. So maybe next time we can go over more hands-on experiences with opening drills, with practicing that opening, like what you want to be doing on different maps to kind of turn the needle more in your favor, or at least as much as possible. That way we can
That sounds great.
maybe see some more consistency on open.
Yep.
All right. Any final questions before I let you go? I know it's a lot of film. It was a lot of like, we're moving. So any questions?
It's fine. Like it was super insightful. I don't think there was any issue with that. All good for me.
Yeah, I
was
don't
very
have any
informative.
direct questions either. Maybe after rewatching it and have time to think about it.
Yeah. I'll get the.
Is this stream available later? Because I had some sound issues in the Discord because I'm using VPN, so I can hear your sound clearly, but it was running well at the start, the first part, but later I had some connection issues watching the stream.
Sure. So as soon as we're done here, I'll start uploading it to YouTube, and then once it's available, I'll get it up.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah,
sounds great.
Might have to break it up because looks like this was an hour and 45, so that's a long YouTube video, but